Item number 10, conduct of business. 10A, adopt a resolution supporting federal and state gun violence legislation. Provide direction to amend the municipal code to establish police permit system for new firearms dealers and to amend the zoning code to permit new firearms dealers only in the M1 industrial zoning district.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. If you'll just give us a second while Chief Telford, who's going to be assisting me in the presentation, gets the PowerPoint presentation spooled up. Perhaps he'll need some technical assistance. We'll find out in just a minute. I told Chief Telford before the meeting that I'd be deferring all the difficult questions to him tonight. However, I didn't ask him to, oh, there we go. Well, all right, no tough questions for the chief. About a month ago, the City Council considered a comprehensive report on reducing the incidence of gun violence and asked the question, what can the city do? So we are coming back to you tonight for the first phase of the implementation of your direction, and that included, in essence, three things, one of which is a resolution in your staff report this evening, which supports President Obama's comprehensive plan to reduce gun violence. The second thing you asked us to do was to conduct some further research into San Francisco's proposed ordinance that would restrict certain kinds of ammunition. And the third thing we did is took a look and analyzed some of the municipal and zoning code amendments that you asked us about. So the first topic for this evening is the resolution in support of President Obama's plan. As you know from the staff report and from what we presented a couple of meetings ago, the plan is detailed, comprehensive, and extensive, and you probably heard something about it almost every day in the newspaper as various aspects of it wind its way through Congress. The plan is supported by the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I know that Mayor Wayne was active in that effort. The resolution that's attached to the packet does express the City of San Bruno's support for that plan. So we prepared that for you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about that at the end of the presentation. The next topic that you asked us to look at was the proposed San Francisco ordinance that restricted ammunition. And you might remember that San Francisco was proposing banning hollow point ammunition and requiring gun dealers to report purchases of 500 or more rounds. And at the last time this was up in front of you, you did hear some public comment about that on both sides. We took a pretty close look at it, and Chief Telford and I concluded that the similar San Francisco ordinance is currently already in litigation. He's been told that more litigation will follow if and when San Francisco adopts the ordinance. I think they already have adopted it. I'm not aware of any other cities that have adopted that ordinance at the moment. And while we're not afraid of litigation, it seemed to us that recommending an ordinance that is already going to end up in litigation is probably not going to be a very effective ordinance, both in terms of enforcement and implementation. And so at this time, we're recommending that you defer action on adopting the San Francisco proposed ordinance on restricting hollow point ammunition and the required reporting of the 500 rounds. The next thing you asked us to look at was whether there were some municipal code amendments that we could enact that would help the city potentially reduce the risk of gun violence. And what we showed you last time was a pretty comprehensive permit system for new firearms dealers. Those kinds of systems are fairly common. They've been upheld by the courts. It's also clear in the ordinance that you have in your packet for discussion tonight that the two existing firearms dealers in San Bruno would be exempt primarily because they're already complying with a number of conditions that are quite similar to what's in that ordinance already. So we didn't see any reason to increase the bureaucratic red tape for them and have them comply with something that in essence they're already doing. The main goals of the ordinance, and I won't go through each and every provision of it, there's a copy in your packet, is really safety on the one hand and security on the other hand. It does require an application and a background check. One of the important provisions are proximity limits, both from residential zoning districts and also from each other, so we don't have a proliferation of gun shops. There are provisions in the ordinance that require site security both for the building and for the weapons and ammunition stored inside. The permit's proposed to be a one-year permit that's renewable, and then, of course, there's a hearing provided if it's either denied or revoked. So those are the essential provisions of the municipal code ordinance that we're showing you this evening. You also asked us to take a look at what, if anything, we could do about the zoning code. So as you know, the zoning code regulates how you can use your property in certain zoning districts. And under current zoning, gun shops actually are only permitted in what's called the CBD district. Existing dealers, for historical reasons, are located in two different districts, although similar, the C, commercial, and CO, which is community office. That would be the big five. The dealers in those locations, in fact, throughout the commercial districts, raise some questions about whether those are consistent with your recently newly adopted general plan amendments, certainly the transit corridor plan, and the new zoning that's going to soon follow on that. If you look at what those plans say, especially in the transit corridor plan area, they call for higher density residential, office, resident and visitor serving businesses like restaurants, cafes, and so on and so forth. And it didn't seem to staff that those uses are necessarily consistent with gun shops. So we looked at the various zoning districts where a new gun shop might be allowable in San Bruno and concluded one possible location would be in a portion of the M1 zone. And as I'm reading this, I realize with a certain degree of horror that I forgot to put up the last exhibit on my PowerPoint slide, which is in your staff report. It's the exhibit that shows where those uses are located. So I apologize for that. But in essence, I'll explain it to you. It was in the staff report. It's a section of the M1 zone, which is bounded, it is actually east of Railroad Avenue, and it's buffered by both the railroad tracks, 2 streets, and a row of commercial businesses from the residential zoning district that's nearby. And so we thought that that would be at least the more appropriate use or place for gun shops located in the city of San Bruno. And if you're in general agreement with that, the staff has indicated they would bring back those types of amendments both to the zoning map, to the zoning text, and possibly to the general plan back to the Planning Commission for review, and then you would see those as part of your normal review process. One question we had for you this evening is whether you wanted us to do that, if that's the direction, to do that as part of the entire general zoning code update, or whether you'd like to bring that to the Planning Commission on a more rapid time schedule. So that's a question we will want to get a little bit of direction on. And we'll come back to that in just a second. Last time we did talk about a gun buyback program. The chief is in the process of getting participation with countywide efforts in that. And he can also explain a little bit about the voluntary turn-in program. Do you want to say a few words about that, Chief Telford?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. So we are working with Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office to do a gun buyback program. It'll involve several agencies in San Mateo County, and we will be holding that event in the North County. So we will be meeting on that event this week, and details will come out soon. We're looking at an early April date. In terms of voluntary gun program, the police department has and will continue to accept firearms from citizens that want to turn those firearms in. So all you need to do is call our office at 616-7100, and we'll make arrangements for you to safely turn that firearm in, and we'll be more than happy to accept it. And like I said, we have done that for years, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you, Chief. Last but not least, we can look at a couple of next steps. Of course, there's the resolution in your packet that you may wish to adopt this evening. If it's the pleasure of the council, we would return to the City Council at a subsequent meeting with the municipal code amendments for adoption, for introduction at a public hearing and then adoption. And then finally, staff would propose the various zoning code and map amendments to the Planning Commission for recommendation to the City Council, and there we'd be looking for some direction for you about the timing of that process. That concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of City Attorney Mark?
Through
Ken?
the Chair, Mr. Mayor. So the two, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, if we're proposing M1 district or portion of M1 district locations for gun sales, the existing two vendors are fine as long as they stay in business and I guess it's not vacant for more than 6 months?
Right, that
Is
is
it
correct.
Okay, so my second part is, Tabor's has been more than 6 months, and so is it safe to say that there will not be a gun dealer in that location?
I think for various reasons, including that one, it's safe to say that there would not be another gun dealer in that location.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Michael?
No questions.
Okay. Rico, Irene?
No.
Any action on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we introduce the resolution at the very least.
Okay.
And for clarification, that the resolution that we're introducing tonight is merely supporting the federal legislation that's currently.
Correct.
Okay.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Vice Mayor O'Connell?
Aye.
Mayor Wayne?
Aye. And then on the timing, Mark?
Yes, that would be good. I assume from that action you're interested in seeing the municipal code amendments come back to you in the form of an ordinance for introduction at an upcoming meeting. Would that be correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And then some direction on the timing of the proposed zoning code amendments would also be helpful for staff. Do you want to do them as part of the overall zoning code update, or would you like staff to bring them forward to the Planning Commission sooner than that?
I think it makes sense to do them, with the whole update myself, but anyone else?
That's fine. Through the chair?
Yes.
What is the timing for the update?
We discussed that, and I think we can have David Woltering speak to that if I misstate what he said, but I think he indicated it would be within this year.
So 2013?
Right.
Okay.
Is he nodding back there? I can't see him.
He's coming
Yeah,
up.
very
He's
quickly
coming
up to
up.
the
Oh,
mic.
he's not here. Oh, there he is.
Mr. Mayor and council members, on the timing, as far as the zoning code update, we would expect to complete that by the end of this year. If you wanted to separate out the amendments, that would take about a 4-month process to do that. So those are the options in terms of timing.
I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think we do it all at the same time.
Okay.
So,
I would agree.
Through the chair?
yeah, Michael?
Can I ask the city attorney to clarify a statement? So regarding the now vacant former gun store, you said that it was unlikely that would become a gun store again, but barring any changes that we could potentially make, is there anything preventing a gun store from reopening there?
Well, yes, actually, the gun store that was there was a non-conforming use, and so the gun stores are only allowed and have been allowed only in the CBD area. That store was in a different zoning district. That means a new gun store is not allowed to operate there. They did not have a conditional use permit, so they didn't have a vested right to the zoning being continued in their favor, having discontinued their business. And as I say, among other reasons, the staff would not be recommending approval of a gun store at that location.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you for all
Thank you
your
very much.
work and research, Chief and City Attorney.
Thank you.